What if climbing a staircase could show you exactly how you're going to die? There's a place in Brazil, Indiana called the 100 Steps Cemetery, and it is supposed to be one of the most haunted graveyards in the entire Midwest. By day, it looks totally ordinary, just like a rural cemetery with an old stone staircase. But by night, people swear that something in the air changes. Some say that the steps don't even feel like stone anymore. They claim that they feel more like bone.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, so who's watching the videos entirely. Comment down below. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This father's reaction after being confronted of trying to force his daughters, who are now deceased, to marry older men is absolutely disgusting. If you want to watch the prison interview plus learn the details of the story, head over to my YouTube channel. It's all there.
Wanted the girls to be wed in arranged marriages in Egypt, right?
It's arranged marriage now. This is big story because some people, they don't know what that means. They think we force the girl to marry the man we like, which is wrong.
Amina later wrote about her fears that you intended to, and these are her words, quote, sell them to the highest bidder, to an older man that she did not love in a land that she said she hated.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Do you see me? I laugh. It's very funny.
If you see this happen, you need to run fast. If your dog is constantly staring or barking at a certain spot in the house, you need to get out of there. This could mean your house is haunted. Dogs are extremely good at sensing a presence that should not be there. Also, if you have random cold spots, you smell perfume which is not yours, and hear funny noises at night, this means there could be a ghost in your house and you need to run fast. Make sure you share this message and follow for more.
Okay.
The rarest human mutations that actually exist. First, only 1% of the world's population can swallow 3 times in a row. So if you can swallow 4 times in a row, then you are very rare. But it is almost impossible to swallow 5 times. Next, about 25% of people have phobic sneeze reflex, meaning they sneeze whenever they look at the sun. About 3% of the human population has no body odor at all. But about 1% has something known as fishy odor syndrome, meaning when they sweat, it smells like fish. About 80% of people have lines that form an M on their palms, and many believe it is a sign of good fortune. However, just 4% of people have an X on their palms, and this is believed to mean that they will become great leaders. Let us know if you have an M or an X on your palm. Moving on, how many colors did you see in this image? You can pause the video to count if you want to. Now, if you saw 33 to 39 colors, you could be part of a select group of people that have superhuman vision. Finally, only 53 people in human history have had the blood type RH norm. It is known as the golden blood type because it's worth its weight in gold. More?
Really?
I thought I had heard of all the worst serial killers, but I had never heard of this guy. This is Kurt Werner Wickman, and he might go down as one of the worst serial killers in German history. Now, this is coming from a podcast episode I just did covering some of his worst confirmed crimes, but to show you how horrible he was, let me tell you a story. In 1989, a woman named Birgit Meyer vanished without a trace as she was leaving a restaurant heading home. Her husband was pretty quickly ruled out, and there were no other suspects really in this vanishing. But police got a tip that at one point in her life she had gone home with this very normal man named Kurt, and so police thought it's at least something, let's go check this guy out. So the police show up to his house just to ask him a few questions, and they bring a cadaver dog with them. Essentially, immediately once they get there, the cadaver dog sits down because it smells human remains. The dog proceeded to hit at over 100 sites on Kurt's property, indicating that human remains were at all of those sites. So the police are like, okay, we definitely have to investigate this guy. They get a warrant and they go straight into his house. And what they find in his basement, all the way in the back, is this locked door. Now, none of the other doors in his house are locked, and his wife says that she just doesn't ask questions about this door and she has no idea what's in it. And when police finally get inside of that door, it is essentially a torture chamber. They find torture devices. They find videos that he had made, videos that he had collected. They find women's purses, handbags, shoes, all of this stuff belonging to other women. And they find a pair of handcuffs that have a drop of blood on them. And when they test the blood, it's Birgit's. And then they start digging around his property and they find items belonging to what they believe is over 200 people. There is so much more to this story, as I'm sure you can imagine, and police in Germany are still trying to figure out the identity of all the people whose belongings Kurt had. I do a breakdown on some of his worst crimes. I also get a lot into his really crazy backstory, and you can listen to it on the Heart Starts Pounding podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Breaking news, authorities now say that Coberger was direct messaging one of the victims. An investigator has stated that Coberger has sent a series of messages to one of the victims. In late October, an account that authorities believe was Brian Coberger sent a greeting to one of the female victims. However, the source says when he did not get a reply, he sent several more messages. The source says, quote, he slid into one of the girl's DMs several times, but she didn't respond. Basically, it was just him saying, hey, how are you? But he did it again and again. The IG account that authorities believe was Brian Coberger's has since been deleted. However, it was viewed previously, and he did follow Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana. However, they say there were no public interactions between any of them. Authorities believe that Coberger did not get a response as the victim missed the message. The investigator said, quote, she may not have seen them because they went into message requests. We're still trying to determine how aware the victims were of his existence. Furthermore, he states, quote, there's no indication that he was getting frustrated with her lack of response, but he was definitely persistent. Coberger has not yet entered a plea, and his next hearing is set for June 26th. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
This is just tragic.
History facts I wish I didn't know. Tarare, a Frenchman from the 1700s, ate extraordinarily large amount of food, including animals and allegedly a baby. He suffered from polyphagia and died at 26. In 1888, James Jameson, heir to the Jameson whiskey fortune, bought a 10-year-old girl to observe her being unalived and eaten by cannibals in Congo. In the 18th century, dentures were sometimes made from the teeth of dead soldiers, notably those from the Battle of Waterloo, and sold to the wealthy. A Colorado farmer's chicken named Mike lived for 18 months without a head becoming a sensation and touring the U.S. Ancient Romans used human urine as a teeth whitening and stain remover for clothes due to its ammonia content. Frederick Bauer, the inventor of the Pringles can, was so proud of his invention that his remains were buried in a Pringles can after his death in 2008.
This was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives, but hours after this beautiful wedding ceremony, Samantha Miller was killed. This tragic story is a reminder to not drink and drive. 34-year-old Samantha Miller and Eric Hutchinson got married in 2023 when only a few minutes after leaving their wedding ceremony, they were hit by a drunk driver. The driver, Jamie Lee Komorowski, was 3 times over the alcohol limit and was going 65 miles per hour in a 25 zone. Samantha and Eric, along with 2 other family members, were driving back home in a golf cart, which actually made the impact a lot more serious. Unfortunately, Samantha passed away still in her wedding dress, while Eric and the 2 other family members survived. Now, it's a miracle that everyone else survived, but their injuries were so severe that they say they can't even go back to doing the things they used to. And just a couple of days ago, Jamie was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Now, this case doesn't even end there, because the bride's mother, Lisa Miller, sued Eric, the bride's husband, for her daughter's estate. Lisa's attorneys are trying to challenge the validity of her daughter's marriage with Eric, saying that because they didn't spend the night together on the day of their wedding, the marriage is invalid. Eric offered to give Lisa half of the money to just put an end to the situation, but she refused, and she just wants everything. Can you imagine losing your significant other on your wedding day and then having to deal with that grief, and then also having to deal with your own personal physical injuries, and then on top of that, you're being sued by your wife's mother?
What if climbing a staircase could show you exactly how you're going to die? There's a place in Brazil, Indiana called the 100 Steps Cemetery, and it is supposed to be one of the most haunted graveyards in the entire Midwest. By day, it looks totally ordinary, just like a rural cemetery with an old stone staircase. But by night, people swear that something in the air changes. Some say that the steps don't even feel like stone anymore. They claim that they feel more like bone. So legend says that you have to go there at midnight and you start at the bottom of the staircase. You then have to count each of the 100 steps out loud as you climb. That's when you meet him at the very top, the ghostly Undertaker. He has no face, he just has a dark suit, and some people say that he points directly to your future grave. Others claim that he shows you a vision, exactly how you're going to die, and that once you've seen that vision, you cannot unsee it, and this drives you into total madness. You then have to go down the stairs, slowly counting each step again, and if your final count doesn't match with the 100 that you started with, the vision that you saw isn't just a warning. It is now locked in. And it will happen. Like people say, if you try to cheat, if you try skipping steps or cutting across the hill, a ghostly hand comes up from the ground and shoves you hard enough to leave a red handprint on your skin. People say that this handprint burns. It's like getting like a branding. People who have done this ritual talk about having nightmares. Others say that they see shadow figures moving through the gravestones long after they have left. The worst stories are about the people who said that their visions started bleeding into real life, exactly how they were shown by the Undertaker. Even skeptics can admit that there is something deeply wrong about this place, and police constantly have to patrol the area because so many thrill seekers come in. That's why they put up this sign that says closed from dusk to dawn. But locals claim that this land was cursed from the start, and this cemetery is built over top of unmarked graves and violent deaths. And maybe that's the reason why this ritual feels more dangerous than just your average ghost story. Would you try this game? Let me know and follow for more.
Nope. I don't know why people can play those type of games, man. I don't need that. No type of bad energy in my life. Thrill seekers. I don't sound like a thrill to me.
Lil Nas X was just charged with 4 felonies. For those that don't know, Lil Nas X was recently seen wandering the streets of LA barely wearing anything. Now when this first happened, everyone thought it was some kind of publicity stunt for like a song or something, but as it turns out, it was completely real. Now when this incident occurred and Lil Nas was approached by police, he apparently resisted, and that added to some of his charges. Apparently he hit an officer in the face twice. His charges are currently 3 counts of battery against an officer and 1 count of resisting arrest. Now if Lil Nas is found guilty of this, he could face years of prison time. Currently we don't know the exact reason of why Lil Nas was wandering and why he acted the way that he acted. He could have been on something, or he could have just been having a complete mental breakdown. We don't quite know yet. But right now a lot of people think that it might be related to his hospitalization in April. Back in April he had partial facial paralysis and he was in a hospital for a little bit. So people think that during that hospital stay he might have got put on some medications, and maybe he got, hooked on those medications. But we don't know 100% for sure yet.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet?
What is that?
Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
I'm cool, but I still won't go that even more. That ain't me.
This mother took this video right before murdering her entire family after finding out that her husband had terminal brain cancer.
I have been struggling so much and really depressed and just have really become reclusive.
Last April, 48-year-old Ryan Long was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. His wife, 34-year-old Emily Long, began sharing her struggles on TikTok, talking about her depression and anxiety and how this has affected her overall. They had 3 beautiful children together, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and even though Emily talks about how this news has affected their kids, she did something that no one was expecting. On August 18th, a relative called police to do a welfare check on the family because it seems like no one was answering their calls and texts. When police arrived to their home in New Hampshire, they found everyone deceased, except for the 3-year-old. Turns out that Emily shot her husband multiple times before taking out her 2 kids. And not exactly clear why she spared her 3-year-old. A lot of people have their own opinions about that, but regardless, this is so disturbing that this child has to live a life without his family. But what also doesn't sit right with me is that right before this tragedy, Emily goes on TikTok and talks about how her close friend, who's also a therapist, was encouraging her to get help. But Emily said that she just wasn't ready yet.
For those who are going to ask, like, no, I'm not in therapy yet. I am just not there yet. I have thought about it. My girlfriend, who is a therapist, is all over it. She's ready for when the time comes. And I say, I need you to help me find someone. She will have someone on speed dial. And so I'm thankful for that too.
People think Brian Coberger might not survive prison. In the complaint, he states that he is constantly being verbally threatened by other inmates. He specifically requests to be transferred from J block to B block because of this. It's so funny because, you know, those girls couldn't just move houses because he was coming to theirs. He wrote that he has not participated in disruptive behavior like flooding cells or stripping, and feels unfairly targeted. Inmates are allegedly shouting threats and vulgar comments at him. Brian Coberger doesn't understand why this is happening. He hasn't done anything to them. These taunts include the only thing you'll be eating is cold burgers, mocking his last name, Coberger. I will blink your booty bump, threats of a certain type of violence towards him. Now he understands how his victims felt seconds before they were ended, but he claims that all of this is unfair towards him. Even officers have actually acknowledged that they're hearing vulgar language directed towards him. However, they can't identify which inmate is making those threats, so they can't do anything about it. Take that information however you would like. One guard did admit that Coberger was being harassed, and he told Coberger he needed to give it some time. Overall, Coberger is writing because he feels very unsafe at J Block and he wants out, but I fear because of the crime he committed, this will happen anywhere he is transferred as well. And ironically, this is actually exactly what many of the victim impact statements requested, like what the families were saying, that inmates would make his time in prison as miserable as possible. Let me know what you think about this and follow for more.
Extinct animals caught
actually
on
have
camera.
consequences.
Pterodactyl. Look carefully.
Ain't no pterodactyl. Might be a special type of bird. Far away. It looks like it. I'll give him that. What do you think?
This 98-year-old woman had her life ended in a snuff film. Margaret Douglas was a woman who lived in Ohio, and even at 98 years old, she lived by herself and was described by her family as being fiercely independent and healthy. Margaret told her family that the thing she was most excited about was being able to reach the age of 100 in just 2 short years, but sadly, her life would be brutally ended before she got to that point. In April of 2018, Margaret's partially nude body would be found stuffed inside of her bedroom closet, having been strangled to death. Margaret's 17-year-old neighbor, Gavin Ramsey, would eventually be brought in for questioning after several concerning videos and photos were found on his cell phone. The videos depict Gavin breaking into Margaret's home and then filming her while she slept on the couch for several minutes. After several minutes of watching her sleep, Gavin would jump on top of Margaret and proceed to strangle her to death. Afterwards, the video and photos would depict Gavin masturbating over top of Margaret's dead body before using her hands to masturbate himself. When asked why he did it, Gavin simply stated that he wanted to know what it felt like to take another human's life. He was quickly found guilty and is currently serving life in prison.
One in a million coincidences you will not believe actually happened. Right here you can see a sign saying thank you for driving carefully, but behind it is a car on its side. Right here you can see someone reading a book about birds when the real life bird landed on the page about itself. Right here you can see a sign pointing to the moon with the moon right in its pointed direction. And lastly, this dog perfectly aligned itself with the frothy white bit you get when the sea comes in at shore. Make sure you share these coincidences with everyone and follow for more.
These are extinct animals that scientists are close to bringing back. At number 1, we have the woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth was believed to have gone extinct 25,000 years ago. But scientists discovered hundreds that just died recently. So they are planning to put their DNA inside modern-day African elephants. and they expect to bring them back in the next 3 to 5 years. Number 2, dodo birds were hunted to extinction over 400 years ago, but a preserved head was recently discovered, and scientists are mixing the DNA from this head with that of a pigeon, meaning dodo birds should be back in the next 10 to 20 years. Next, expect to see saber-toothed tigers outside soon, because scientists recently discovered some of their DNA inside tar pits, and they plan to combine it with African lions. So this 10-inch tooth beast could be coming back in the next 10 to 20 years. Finally, the dire wolf was one of the most fearsome predators in the Ice Age and has been extinct for over 10,000 years. However, scientists are said to have brought them back to life this year using DNA recovered from fossils. Thought more?
What is up with scientists, man, trying to bring back these animals? Don't they know that can, like, really mess with the ecosystem? They don't care about that, man. They're just, like, messing with creations, bro. They already brought back the freaking the dire wolf, we saw that, and the woolly mammoth. Then they do that with the mice. So they getting closer and closer. They gonna bring back something that shouldn't be.
He ended his sister's life because his Xbox was lagging. 19-year-old Alexis Brianna Watkins was from Macon, Georgia, and lived in a home with her family. This included her 16-year-old brother, Kevin, her mother, LaToya, her 13-year-old brother, and her son. Alexis was described as outgoing and having a zest for life. She was in a relationship with her high school sweetheart. The two would end up getting engaged, and she would have her firstborn son. She poured her heart and soul into becoming the best mother that she could be for her son, and with her high school sweetheart, they were a very tight-knit and loving family. On February 2nd of 2018, Alexis's 16-year-old brother Kevin returned home from school and wanted to play his Xbox. He was getting angry because his Xbox was lagging, and he assumed it was because there was too many people on the Wi-Fi, so he went ahead and changed the password so that no one else could use it. Kevin and Alexis's 13-year-old brother realized what he had just did, so he went to go tell his mom. Once her mom found out what Kevin had did, she unplugged the internet router and went to his room and took out his Xbox. This made Kevin even more angrier. He confronted his mother, trying to fight her, but pushed her to the side and said, "I don't want to hit you." Alexis stepped in to save her mom and grabbed Kevin in a bear hug and told him to chill out. At this point, Kevin is in a fit of rage, and he has his sister in a prolonged chokehold lasting 15 minutes. The mother and 13-year-old brother tried to separate the two, but he told his mom that he would hurt her if she tried to intervene, so she ran to call 911. As she was waiting for police to arrive, Kevin still had a tight grip on his sister's neck. Once police arrived, Alexis was unconscious, her body was limp, and Kevin still wouldn't let go. Once officers told Kevin to release his grip, he did, but it was already too late. Alexis was rushed to the hospital, and they were able to resuscitate her, and she was sent to the ICU. She had a condition resulting of lack of oxygen to the brain, and the next day she passed away. Authorities immediately arrested Kevin, and he was charged with the murder of his sister. Ultimately, the judge found Kevin guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
This is one of the most disgusting and evil cases I've ever heard. In February of 2013 in the Bronx, New York, a man was walking his dog at around 4 a.m. when his dog began to sniff around and led the man to a pile of trash bags that were left on the curb. As the man got closer, he realized that there was an awful smell coming from the bags that were sitting on the curb. So he decided to investigate, and lo and behold, he discovered that the bags were full of dismembered body parts. The man then decided to call the police, and after further investigation, the police found multiple different bags full of more dismembered body parts scattered across the city. It would then be discovered that the dismembered body parts would belong to a 45-year-old at-home caregiver by the name of Tanya Bird. Her body parts were placed in multiple heavy-duty trash bags containing everything from her torso to her shoulders to even her head. But guys, if only that was the worst part. You see, police then moved on to contact Tanya's son, Basim McLean, in which he responded that he believed that his mom's abusive ex-boyfriend was the one behind the killing of his mother. But little did the police know that that was not the case. As part of the investigation, police decided to go through Basim McLean's phone to see if he had any connection with his mom's murder. And lo and behold, they discovered a picture of McLean smiling in a selfie while holding his mom's decapitated head in his left hand. Yes, this is the picture of McLean holding his mom's decapitated head like it's a trophy, and of course it's blurred because we're not going to show the actual picture on here. After this, though, he was actually sentenced to 25 years in prison, but wait, it gets crazier. You see, years prior, before he was arrested, Basim McLean was actually married to a woman named Vera McLean, in which him and her had a 4-year-old son together. And about a year into McLean's prison sentence, he gets a call while in jail that his ex-wife, Vera McLean, is being charged with murder after beating their 4-year-old son to death with a broomstick. She was then sentenced to 17 years in prison. So one of them killed their mother, dismembered her body, and then flaunted her head in a selfie, and the other one beat their son to death with a broomstick. That's a pretty twisted couple, if you ask me.
Truly was.
Here's some psychology hacks that can help rewire your brain for school to actually learn something and maybe pass, that I know work because I got 2 of these and I'm thinking about going back and getting another one.
Okay, I'm gonna be really, really real with you, even though this is gonna make TikTok upset and suppress the video, less people are gonna see it, okay? But you gotta get off the app. You can save this video, go watch it, the rest of it in your camera roll, then if you want, if you like it, come back, give me a like and comment, but you gotta get off this app.
You can exploit the performance effect by reading out loud. Let me say it again, read out loud. Your brain will absorb it a lot better because you're trying to say it in a certain way out loud versus reading it in your head. Something called the spotlight effect that you can actually exploit, all by just raising your hand in class and asking that question that you think is dumb. Okay, I don't care if you think you're gonna get embarrassed. The class will forget. The teacher will remember that you participated, and your brain will actually like absorb something. Us humans have something called context memory, which means you should never be like laying down and studying unless you're gonna be laying down and taking the test. No, I'm sorry, you have to sit at a desk with maybe some harsh lights and just like background noise to distract you. So the setting is the same exact thing that you're learning in as you'd be taking the test in. Hear me out, I'm not saying that it's a good idea to tell people your plans before you do them, because your brain will actually be like, oh, I did it, when you didn't. But it might be a good idea to tell a friend, that somebody that you trust, maybe a group chat, that you're gonna like study this certain day, like you're gonna get this certain grade on a test, and they should hold you accountable, because shame does wonders. Exploit a spacing loop, which just means don't cram. I know this is gonna piss people off already. It's like, I always do it the night before and I'm fine. That's great. Your head would be better if you didn't do that. Instead of like every day, every 3 days, once a week, just review. Don't cram. Exploit blurt. When you're done reading a book, lie it down, and to be able to understand it, write everything that you remember about what you just read, and then go and teach it to somebody. That is the fastest way to get it in your head. Exploit pre-testing.
Really?
Give yourself a test, okay? Before you read the material, test yourself. After you read the material, test yourself. After you teach somebody it, test yourself. Really be honest about what you do and what you don't know. And finally, I'm gonna say exploit the consolidation effect. The fact that you need to sleep more than you study. As long as you're doing everything else in study, you need to sleep. That's how your brain actually like gets it in there, okay? So just rest. It's the same with like physical working out activity. Your body grows muscles in your sleep, not in the gym. Your brain is gonna put it all in here while you sleep, not while you're reading it.
So you need to get those 8 hours.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. Champagne sales are down 15% in 2024, and multiple champagne executives have said that people are just not celebrating as much. This dog went in for a teeth cleaning and was spayed instead. These astronauts were only supposed to be in space for 8 days and now have to stay in space until next year because of new safety concerns. A new study came out and said that when Barbie learned what a gynecologist was, millions of other people did as well. It was recently revealed that this US woman who was tied to a tree in the middle of the forest in India tied herself to it. New research is suggesting that mayonnaise may help us develop perfect nuclear fusion. Remote work is to blame for Google's struggles with AI, according to the former CEO. This man was given 40 sausage rolls for 40 years of service at his job. This woman in her 70s was fired from Home Depot after failing to stop a customer from using a suspicious card to spend over $5,000 in fraudulent charges.
These are 8
How is she gonna stop that?
That will probably keep you up at night. If you smell burnt toast and there's nothing actually burning, you are most probably having a stroke. If you have 5 brothers, one of you will go to 5 funerals, while another won't see even one. If you shiver randomly, That means a ghost passed near or through you. There are 2 days that don't last 24 hours. The one of your birth and the one of your death. In the original Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf forced her to eat her grandma. You've never actually seen your face. Only photos and reflections. People who fall in love lose an average of 2 friends each. By the time you reach the age of 18, on average, you have 3,300 weekends left in your life. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for Party 11.
We learned some new stuff today.
You don't know about. In 1991, a decomposing woman was found hanging from a shower in a New Mexico motel. Despite an image of her being found in the room, she and the man in the photo remain unidentified to this day. But her first name is believed to be Becca, thanks only to an anonymous tip given to police in 2021. In 2011, Tokyo officials went to congratulate the oldest man in the city on his 111th birthday. But upon entering the man's home, they instead found his mummified remains sprawled over his bed. He had been dead for more than 30 years, and his family was still collecting the pension money he was receiving. Tennessee man James Washington was always the prime suspect of a 1995 murder. But there is never sufficient evidence to charge him that was until 2012, when he was having a heart attack and confessed to the murder since he believed he was about to die. But Washington ended up making a full recovery, and was convicted based on this confession, which he later tried to take back.
Nah,
Scientific fact.
That's actually wild. You confess the truth in the end thinking, you know, it's all about to be over, then try to recant it because you survived. Man, that's a diabolical liar right there.
About each zodiac sign. Tauruses are the clumsiest. An insurance policy expert that analyzed damage claims found that Tauruses made up the majority of those cases. However, Leos caused the most damage in terms of dollar value, even more than the Tauruses.
Wow.
Leos are the worst drivers. A car share service analyzed hundreds of thousands of users and found that Leos were the most likely to get traffic tickets. On the other hand, Aries were the safest drivers, making up the least amount of traffic violations from that same study. A survey from Career Builder found that Tauruses, Leos, Scorpios, and Cancers were the most likely to make over $100,000 a year. And that same study found that Aquarians and Capricorns were the most likely to make less than $35,000 per year.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. Once there was a police officer investigating a series of strange accidents, including car crashes, house fires, and even people who became aggressive with their loved ones seemingly out of nowhere. But after he got photos of these accidents, he realized they all had one thing in common. The same man was found in all of these photos. And the most disturbing part is his face is upside down. This turned out to be the urban legend of the man with the upside down face. He looks like a normal man, except his face is the wrong way, with his mouth at the top and his eyes at the bottom. This creature feeds off of people's negative emotions like grief, terror, and misery, making these emotions more intense until you can't stop yourself from doing something terrible. And the worst part is he's completely invisible to us, appearing only in photos. So let's just hope that he's not anywhere near us right now. Follow for more stories.
Upside down man. Looks like he caused a lot of freaking... He was feeding off a lot of pain, man. Any truth to that theory? I might have to go down that rabbit hole one day.
Facts that can one day save your life. If your hair suddenly stands up, run for cover because you're about to be hit by lightning. If a tornado ever looks like it's not moving, run or take cover, because it is actually moving towards you. If a service dog approaches you without its owner, follow them and do it quickly because you can save someone else's life. The more colourful the animal is, the more likely it's poisonous and you should never touch it.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears 2 loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his eyes and sees a man with no eyes dragging the bodies of both of his parents. The man dragging his parents sits his mom's dead body in a chair facing him. and then sets the dad's body on the floor facing up. It was almost like whoever was in the house who killed them wanted him to see it. He then sees the man writing something on the wall and then climbs under his bed. He laid there for hours knowing that if he moved a muscle he would end up just like his parents. He finally built up enough courage to read the wall, and the writing on the wall said, "I know you're awake."
This will make you never want to go into space. A man named Michael was alone in space with no other humans for thousands of miles. But then he heard static coming from his radio, and Michael had a gut-wrenching feeling. "Hello, this is Michael Stanton of the Rising Dawn. Do you read me? Over." A breathless voice then replied, "Thank God. I didn't know how much longer I could survive out here. What's going on? Where are you communicating from?" The voice then said back, "I'm right outside your ship, Stanton. Open the hatch door and let me in." Michael's heart rate quickened. He found the strength to turn off the radio, and then he heard it. "Let me in," the voice repeated, but it wasn't like before. It sounded demonic, and Michael never opened the door. Everyone back home told him he could not have possibly heard those sounds in a space vacuum, but Michael still knew that thing was still out there.
That's based off an alien story or something? I thought you couldn't hear sounds in space.
Never play this game. This is the stairs game, and it's not for the weak. It's a sinister ritual and is extremely dangerous, and I don't recommend playing it. But if you do, please be very careful. You can play this game anytime during the day, but it's better to do it at night. The only things you need is a blindfold and a set of stairs. And don't worry about your staircase because it doesn't matter the amount of stairs you have. To begin the game, you have to be on the lowest step and say these words out loud. "I come before you today, Lucifer. Open the gates of your kingdom for me." You have to repeat those words 6 times in order to be blessed and begin the game. Now put on your blindfold and begin going up the stairs. Count every stair one by one and never forget the number you get. And then repeat it going down the stairs. Keep doing this until you have more stairs going down than up. You will then start sweating and hearing whispering voices, which means you are in the underworld. You will then hear a very creepy demonic voice from an entity asking you, "What do you want?" You then tell him, and then when you complete the game, you will get whatever you asked for. But here's the thing, if you fall at any point while playing this game, you will be completely stuck in the underworld forever.
Man, I never played any of those game seekers, bro. That game sounds like it's just it's a nightmare fuel waiting to happen. Who wants to go to the underworld anyway? That's something you would avoid. No, I don't think so. That's the edit. Call them out when you see it.
Strange phobias of celebrities.
Johnny Depp, Horrifying, fear of clowns. We've seen him on screen working in mask, but he is actually terrified of clowns. Katy Perry, Nyctophobia, fear of darkness. She has admitted that she sleeps with the lights on because she thinks a lot of evil things go on in the dark. Kendall Jenner, Trypophobia, fear of tiny holes. She says that she can't even look at those little holes that gives her anxiety. Madonna, Astrophobia, fear of thunderstorm. She is so afraid of thunderstorm that she doesn't even step out of her house when it's raining.
Wow.
Tyra Banks, Delphinophobia, fear of dolphins. She has been afraid of dolphins since she was 8 years old, because of dreams where she is in a pool and dolphins keep bumping into her.
Do not scan another QR code until you've heard this. Banks and regulators have issued a warning over the rise of QR code scams that are tricking people into stealing their financial information. Now, there are many ways that they are doing this, but one of the most unsuspecting methods is that they are sticking fake QR codes over real ones that you would normally scan to pay for things like food or parking. But once scanned, it brings you to a website that's designed to capture your credentials or download malware. And it's not just sticker scams, they're also being sent via email to corporations and workplaces, where to view a file, you need to scan this QR code. And while this is also affecting the US, in the UK alone, QR code scams have more than doubled since last year alone. And that is why...
Creepy photos that can't be explained.
Be vigilant.
This photo was taken in the basement of a house that was for sale a few years ago. The photo was taken by a realtor because he wanted to show his clients the house. Everything looks completely normal in this house until you look at the left corner. What appears to be a fairly transparent woman is standing towards the bottom of the stairs going to the basement. The realtor insists that nobody was there when he took the photo, but the strangest part about this photo lies in the backstory of this house. The house was previously owned by a man and his wife, but unfortunately the wife passed away, so the husband decided to sell. Another reason why the man wanted to sell his house is because after his wife passed, he kept hearing strange noises in the middle of the night while home alone. What do you guys think? Who or what was captured on camera? Like and follow for more.
Maybe a squatter? And that's that picture caught her.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. An average human walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. There's future biotech technology. When injected into prisoners, it makes them feel they served a 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. The blue whale ejaculates over 40 gallons of sperm when mating. Only 10% enters the female. And you always wonder why the sea tasted salty. If you block your nose when you sneeze, you can rupture a blood vessel in your neck that can make you bleed to death. People that are left-handed die 3 years faster than people that are right-handed. Watching horror films can burn up to 200 calories. You may be living the last year of your life without being aware of it. You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing just resets the clock. There's a lot more, like for part 9.
I never thought about it like that, especially about the breathing part. Puts things in perspective. Like, we really are 6 minutes away, but if you set the clock, it's like we're on a timer, man. That's why time is valuable.
I think this could be the strangest disappearance I have ever heard. This 19-year-old Jason Jolkowski, and in 2001 he was living at home in Omaha, Nebraska with his family, very normal life, and it was a summer day, June 13th, where something very disturbing took place right off the street. Jason wasn't supposed to work this day, but he got called into work, and it was a place called Fazoli's. It's kind of just like a fast casual Italian place, but the problem was he didn't have his car that day. He had no transportation. It was his manager who made a couple of calls, and he arranged for one of the co-workers to go and pick up Jason at the nearby high school. For context, it's a very short walk from his house. It's quite literally only a few blocks. The problem was Jason never showed. He had somehow completely vanished during this walk. He only could have gone so many ways. So one of the most logical was that he was going to take Bedford. It's a street with a lot of foot traffic, so people assumed that somebody would have seen him. An alternate option where maybe he took a couple of back roads to get to the high school. But again, what's known is that he never made it, and no one has ever found what happened to him, and nobody saw or heard what went down. Looking for more of a deep dive on this story, I'm probably going to cover it on The Sinister.
This mother murdered her 3 kids during a psychosis episode. On January 24th, 2023, 32-year-old Lindsay Clancy took the life of her 5-year-old daughter Cora, 3-year-old son Dawson, and 7-month-old baby Callan. On this day, at 4:53 p.m., Lindsay asked her husband Patrick to pick up some dinner at a restaurant not too far from the house. About an hour later, Patrick returned home and noticed that there was absolute silence. He called for Lindsay's name, and after no response, he went into the bedroom and noticed that the window was open. Both Cora and Dawson passed away in the hospital, but baby Callan passed away 3 days later due to his injuries. Lindsay's defense attorney claims that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, which led her to break from reality and murder her children. But the state attorney argues that these killings were premeditated and that Lindsay sent her husband to get food on purpose so that she can commit these crimes. However, Dr. Caney, who is a board member of Postpartum Support International, clarified that women can completely break with reality during violent episodes. She also said that women who are a few weeks postpartum should be aware of the symptoms of psychosis, which is usually hallucinating. Lindsay was charged with 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of strangulation and assault, and battery with a deadly weapon. And get this.
Ooh, that's a chilling story, man.
Did you know these facts?
Serious
This loading
thing.
symbol is actually called a throbber. In the United States, 75% of truck owners do not use their truck for towing or going off-road. 2 million tires were intentionally dumped off the coast of Florida in the 1970s as an attempt to stimulate growth of new coral reefs. Miracle Village in Florida is a small town where more than 50% of the residents are registered offenders. When you sleep, your brain gets washed with spinal fluid. More people have walked on the moon than blocked a LeBron James dunk. Buzz Aldrin's dad never accepted that he was the number 2 man on the moon instead of number 1. His dad even tried to get USPS to change their commemorative stamp from first man on the moon to first men on the moon and failed. Big Bird looks different in every country. This is Big Bird in the Netherlands, this is Big Bird in Portugal, and this is Big Bird in Brazil.
What?
This is why you should never...
Did y'all know that Elmo had different big birds? That's about to imagine, bro. Kid in America, man, watching a different version of Elmo. That's gonna make them freak it. Go crazy, man, when they see that big bird wrong. I never knew that.
Ever drink tap water, you will be shocked by the results.
Okay. Let's see what's under that. Need to see this.
40x. 100x. 400x.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time, Part 1. Woolly mammoths were still around while Egyptians were building the pyramids. Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded. George Washington never knew dinosaurs existed. The Nintendo company was founded while Jack the Ripper was still on the loose.
What? Really? Damn, Nintendo's that old?
This is one of the creepiest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So for like 30 years in Maine, there was this urban legend that there was a man who had lived in the woods for decades and would break into people's houses as they slept. Also, all of this is coming from this week's episode, which is about terrifying true urban legends and is part of our Dark Summer series. This legend basically started because in this one community in Maine, people would wake up in the morning to find that their fridges were empty. And so they all started joking with each other that there was someone breaking into their homes at night and just taking food from their fridge. And it was a huge joke until someone put up a security camera one night. And this is the video that was captured, and before you say anything, I don't know why it took them so long to put up security cameras. Everyone was shocked, not only because the rumor was true, but because this didn't look like a hermit that lived in the woods. It looked like it could have been one of their neighbors. But the crazy thing is, no one knew who this guy was. They put up flyers with his face on it, and no one in all of Maine recognized him. And it wasn't until almost 20 years later that they actually figured out who it was. His name was Christopher Knight, and he was a hermit living in the woods of Maine for 27 years. But here's the thing, it's not like he was stealing valuables from the neighbors. He was only stealing food, and he only took what he needed. So what do you think? Was he a bad guy? And make sure you listen to this week's episode wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, stealing is stealing. You was breaking into people's houses, man, and taking food. I don't think anybody is gonna feel bad for him. Hey, that's my thoughts on that. Urban legends, man. There's always truth to them. I learned that.
Here are some facts that you probably didn't know that one day could save your life. If your pupils don't dilate to the same size, there is a very real chance you have brain damage. A motorcycle helmet is stronger than a skull. Tea bags actually stop bleeding. They contain a chemical called tannic, which naturally clots your blood. If you're in the wilderness and desperately need water, you can take a plastic bag and hold it against the branch of a willow tree, and it will condensate drinkable water into the bag. Never put tools or heavy objects on the back seat or dash of your car. If you get into a crash, you might survive the collision, but these items could be the cause of your death. If you see vultures circling above you, chances are there's a predator nearby and it's about to make a kill. Grapefruits can actually mess with prescription medication, and the most common of these is birth control. So stay away, because trust me, you do not have the time for a grapefruit baby. If a canker sore in your mouth or tongue isn't going away after 2 weeks, you might want to get it checked out because it very well could be oral cancer.
I walked out of
Whoa.
the theater after seeing Saw X and decided I need more. So here's 3 horror movies you need to watch, especially if you like Saw. First up is this absolutely insane movie called 31, about 5 carnival workers who get kidnapped by crazy killer clowns and forced to play a deadly game called 31. If I had to describe this movie in 2 words, it would be weird and insane. And I mean both as compliments. Next up is a movie I've been waiting to talk about, Dead Silence, which was made by the writers, directors, and producers of Saw. It's about a town with a unique urban legend of a doll maker turned serial killer. It's actually a crime that it has 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Please watch this and let me know if you agree with me or the critics. I really need to know. And the last movie is also the one that's most similar to Saw, because The Collector was supposed to be John Kramer's origin story, but now it's about a different serial killer who turns different places into traps and collects victims from each of the traps that he makes. I have a whole video dedicated to the Collector series as well, so follow for more.
Fun fact,
I
the
watch
webcam
scary
was
movies.
invented so researchers could see how much coffee was in the break room coffee pot at the University of Cambridge, and it was also the first thing to ever go viral. The computer laboratory at the University of Cambridge was a pretty large building with multiple floors, and all the researchers shared one break room with only one coffee pot, meaning they'd often go for a long walk to get a cup of coffee, only to find an empty coffee pot. So 2 researchers set up a small camera pointed at the coffee machine and hooked it up to the laboratory's local network and wrote a program called X Coffee, which allowed the researchers to check on how much coffee was in the coffee pot from the comfort of their offices. When the internet went live to the public in 1993, X Coffee was added to the World Wide Web and went viral. Thousands of people would tune in every day to check on how much coffee was in the coffee pot. They even got an email from Japan asking them to leave a light on in the break room overnight so the coffee pot could be viewed in different time zones.
People are convinced that this is a skinwalker. Listen carefully. Skinwalkers have the ability to mimic the sounds of a human voice, and they have been known to portray themselves as crows. So, could this be a skinwalker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, I did a video on my YouTube channel about skinwalker sightings, so if you want to see that video, link in bio.
Was that a Skinwalker Seekers? I'm gonna have to say yes. I think it was. It was saying it to me, in my perspective, it said, come on. And it said it like a couple of times. I don't know if it's mimicking, someone, did it hear someone say that? But that's the first time I think I've seen a crow say, like, come on. I don't know if they have that ability or not, so tell me down below, what do you guys think?
But are mermaids evil? Well, there's apparently different species of mermaids, each residing in different areas around the world, sirens being one of the most evil and malevolent species. I always think of the sirens from Harry Potter when I think of these. Sirens can lure you in with visual and audio manipulation. They utilize songs to put you in a trance and bring you close enough to them so that you can see their true form. Usually they look frightening like this and have really long, sharp teeth. And this is when they kidnap you and keep you forever. And apparently a lot of people in the Caribbean area have experiences of being abducted by mermaids. I was watching this girl's video about how to make a deal properly with a mermaid, and apparently if you want something like to be healed or to be wealthy, usually a mermaid will want something in return. It can be something as simple as salt all the way up to a child or a relative. Mermaids apparently have the ability to keep you breathing underwater, so it's not that they're drowning the person you give them, it's just that they're holding them hostage underwater. But if they're feeling nice, they'll let you see them once a year.
His name was Max Logan, and at 13 years old, he discovered a device that cost only $14 and could create pure energy. Called it an electromagnetic harvester, and now people don't know what happened to him. I searched it myself, and some people say that he's missing, other people said that he passed away with his mother in a car crash. Creating pure energy for only $14 is insane, so people think that the government came after him. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
You guys ever wake up in the middle of the night and feel like something's watching you? This guy woke up in the middle of the night and actually caught this thing staring at him on camera. I'm gonna roll the clip right now.
still feel like there was something definitely in that corner. Just like vanished though.
I asked some of my haunted dolls if they had any advice for me while I was meeting the actual Annabelle doll today. Here's what they said.
How's she communicating with them?
You're not afraid of the dark, are you? Don't be afraid. I will show you where I play hide and seek. Do you want to play hide and seek? You hide, and I'll find you. You're going to die
One time a guy went to Disneyland and was waiting to ride the roller coaster on Space Mountain. He was standing in line when a guy with red hair came up to him and started talking to him. He seemed nice, but he was a little bit odd. But the thing is, when the ride was over, this red-haired man literally vanished into thin air. The guest reported this incident and was told that he was alone the entire time. This guest might have just encountered a ghost people know as Mr. One Way. Rumor has it that he's the ghost of a man who passed away while on the ride in the 1970s. He always vanishes right before the ride is over, and he likes to talk to people who are riding the roller coaster alone. People have also reported seeing him in the cast member locker rooms. Follow if you want a part 2 because there's so many ghost stories about Disneyland.
This father who murdered his 2 teenage daughters because he started dating finally had his first interview in prison and denied everything and said it was all a conspiracy. I went over this case and his recent interview on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. On New Year's in 2008, 18-year-old Sarah Saeed used her last breath to call police and let them know that her dad had just shot her and she was dying. Beside her was her deceased older sister Amina, who was also shot by their father. But this didn't just happen out of nowhere. Growing up, these 2 girls endured a lot of abuse from their father. When they were 7 and 8 years old, they told their mother that their father was essaying them. But eventually nothing happened and the case got dropped. Things only got worse as they got older. Their father became more controlling and perverted. Their father would follow them and take videos of them everywhere they went, especially when they went to work. At one point, he took Amina to Egypt to try to marry her off to an older man, but luckily that didn't go through. But one day, he lost it when he found out that his daughters were dating and he threatened to take their lives. At this point, the girls were fed up, terrified, and decided to run away with their mother. But taking their mother with them wasn't the best decision because eventually Patricia wanted to go back to Yasser. She then promised Amina and Sarah that nothing would happen if they returned home, but that wasn't the case. The girls were convinced that their father was going to eventually take their lives, so they left a lot of evidence, including emails and letters to teachers about what was going on at home. When they went home, their father offered to take them out to talk and resolve things, but on January 1st, 2008, he shot them multiple times while they sat in the back of his taxi. Yasser fled for 12 years, but now that he's been in prison for 4 years, he still denies taking his daughter's lives. Throughout this recent interview, he gets frustrated and blames the FBI for pinning the murders on him and says that all the evidence against him isn't true.
Toys that saved lives, part 1. Back in 2016, when a group of kids were outside having a water gun fight, they realized that one of the apartments in their complex caught on fire. So the kids immediately sprung into action and started spraying the flames with their water guns. By the time the fire department arrived, there was no longer a fire. Next, in 2017, when a man got into a nasty argument at home, a young woman pulled out a knife on the man. Well, he grabbed the closest object near him, which was a toy lightsaber. He then somehow was able to fend off several knife attacks thanks to the toy lightsaber. Finally, from a story in 2020, a young girl was playing with a toy car outside when a wild raccoon came out of nowhere and lunged at the girl. Well, the girl then threw her toy car directly at the raccoon, distracting the raccoon long enough so she can run inside safely.
I think the one that got to me is, man, the man who freaking took the lightsaber and turned into a whole freaking Jedi demon, bro. Like fitted off 7 knives attacked man with a freaking lightsaber. Must have been practicing that, bro, when he was a kid. It came in handy. That's an edit. She threw that. Definitely.
Real Disney ghost stories sent in by you guys, part 1. These Disneyland cast members wish to remain anonymous, but here are some stories about the little girl who haunts California Adventure. When I worked in Disney California Adventure, we would sometimes see a little girl and she would show up in the bakery tour alone. And usually by the time we figured out she was alone, she's gone. We asked another cast in the bakery and they said she comes by every now and then and wanders all the way to Little Mermaid. Before Disney California Adventure was built, it was a parking lot and she was hit by a tram, and since then her ghost has haunted the area. It's funny because there's a pattern here. Another cast member wrote to me about this little girl as well in Disney California Adventure. First of all, he says that every land has some sort of ghost. Like every little land in Disneyland has something that haunts it, which is crazy. The ghost I experienced the most and will stay with me is the little girl in the Little Mermaid building. She also likes to walk around on the Grizzly Peak side. She even pulled my keys out of my pocket because I wouldn't respond to her while I was cleaning a restroom, and she was pounding a stall door. What? That is so scary. Here's another ghost story about the same girl. Apparently her name is Jennifer. I work at the restaurant on Buena Vista Street in California Adventure. Jennifer is very well known by cast members. She likes to lock the women's restroom doors. She turns candlesticks on the walls upstairs. I've heard a faint scream in the hallway on the 2nd floor. She's pulled my hair a couple times, and she has shown herself to our custodial at 3 a.m. Have you ever had an encounter with this little girl spirit at Disney California Adventure? Let me know in the comments. And keep
an influencer was arrested after flaunting stolen goods to her 300,000 followers on TikTok. 22-year-old Marlena Velez took $500 worth of items to the self-checkout at a Target and scanned them with a fake barcode that listed them at cheaper prices. Police posted surveillance images of Velez online, which led to an anonymous tip to Marlena's socials, where they found her flaunting the items that she'd stolen to her hundreds of thousands of followers. Cops identified and later brought her into custody on charges of petty theft.
43. She has to be one of the most dumbest criminals alive. You're recording yourself 4K doing it and posting it on TikTok for the world to see, and that was an easy lineup for them. When they probably click their social link, they didn't expect it to be that easy, man. People don't have a brain nowadays, bro.
Monkeys have escaped from a biolab research center in South Carolina, and authorities are urging residents to keep their doors and windows securely closed. We really about to have Planet of the Apes. Before it said that their escape was due to human error, with a member of staff failing to lock the doors behind them. And if you were worried, we're about to have Caesar 2.0. Luckily, none of these monkeys have been used in lab testing, and they are too young to carry diseases. Only real problem is that they're freaking hard to catch, because when you chase them, they just scatter. And catching all 43 is gonna take a while.
Planet of the Apes, bro.
Public school system's failing, and this is proof. Why did we forget about gibbons? Y'all know about gorillas, chimps with a different R rating, and this guy. Gibbons got left behind and left off the great apes lunch table. Not this time. I said this for gorillas, but gibbons are really a whole walking comedy special without even trying. They're famous for the way they get from A to B, and there's actually a term for this. It's called break-eating. It sure does. It also means they have the most out-of-pocket wingspan nature's ever seen. Though it's a good thing they're still alive, because finding a fossil that could jump rope its own skeleton, that Jumanji jump would have put us in another pandemic. There's about 20 strains of this arms longer than a Prohibition tree goblin seasoning the earth, including the white-cheeked gibbon, which definitely isn't venom. Apparently, out of all the apes, they're the only ones that mate for life. Including us. That's right, the throat scroll. Well, it's basically a built-in megaphone meant to amplify their calls. Why do they call? Well, some have a door, some have a gate, but gibbons, nah, they mark territory off straight. Basically, they use it to announce the borders of their turf, and you can hear it a mile out. In fact, gibbon couples will sing duets throughout the day, and sometimes they'll even bring the kids to make it a family matter. Also, if you're curious, for these ones, they're all born golden to, blend in, but they all turn black when they're 6 months old. The males stay that way, but the females revert back to gold when they're older. So you can go back. They're silly, whimsical, tiger bullying branch merchants with more reach than Go-Go Gadget that could, let's be real, probably rip your arm off if they really wanted to. They may not be grade A's, but they are to me.
And then committing the alleged crime. You see her loading up her car after shopping this all happened. So that lifestyle influencer stole more than $500 worth of stuff from Target. She recorded everything and then went home and posted a haul. It was said that she was scanning fake barcodes, so instead of scanning the items in her cart, she replaced them with cheaper items and scanned those instead. And I mean, we've all seen videos of people shoplifting at Target, Walmart, and all that, but the reason why this video went so viral is because not only did she steal all these items, but she was recording herself stealing, and then she went home, she did a haul, and she also did a day in the life with all the items that she stole. And the only reason she even got caught was because the footage from Target was posted on social media in hopes that someone can recognize her, and one of her followers were like, I follow this influencer on TikTok and Instagram. So they reached out, and that's how they caught her. They were able to match the footage of her stealing at Target with the footage that she took to post on her TikTok, showing off everything that she stole on that day. Now, another reason why this went so viral is because people are questioning how authentic is everything that we see on social media. You know, you see this woman who has this gorgeous house, beautiful furniture, everything just seems to be put together perfectly. And little did you know, she was actually stealing this entire time. This creator has gone back to posting but has turned off all her comments, and it just makes me wonder, how are you able to risk your life, your record, you know, your family, just to have this image on social media that is completely false?
I'm telling you, bro, social media is a mirage, bro. It's not real. It's fake. You set up certain things to look a certain way. Nobody knows the real you behind the camera. It's just the plain truth. Y'all agree with that?
These are videos humans were never meant to see. Okay, so we all know how weird Disney is and all the disturbing secrets they have. Well, this man who was at Disney made a wrong turn at the park and ended up in this secret abandoned place inside Disney. And something about it is completely unsettling. Some people think it's Disney's creepy lair where they do all of their sinister things, and others think it's the back rooms. But just watch how the workers act and watch how scared the man is. Here's the video, and it's super disturbing.
I've been freaking trying to get out of here for the last like 10, 15 minutes. No, I was just freaking trying to go to the bathroom, and I found myself in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, freaking, oh, guess. It's my card.
Let me get Carol down.
How did you get back here? I just opened a random door, and next thing you know, I'm in here. What is that? Okay.
This means you get the right person to do it.
Man, talking about stairwell after door after sheesh.
Whoa.
What is this place?
Bathrooms?
Whoa. What is this? This big empty area in here. Hello, can you help me out?
Yes,
please.
You're trying to get out of here?
Yes.
He wants to leave.
Yes, we got a nice elevator. How'd you get your way up here? You not even sure?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I really don't.
This is right here. I'm gonna say the second floor. We're gonna find out.
Let's talk about the 2-year-old who lost his life at Disney World after a gator attacked him. So here we have 2-year-old Lane Graves. He and his family were from Nebraska, and in 2016 they traveled down to Florida to go to Disney World. On June 15th at around 8 o'clock, the family heads down to Seven Seas Lagoon, where they're screening Zootopia. A little bit about this lagoon: it was man-made, and they had always had an issue of stray gators getting in the water and staying there. On this specific day, at least 2 people had told employees that they had seen a gator in the lagoon area, and they did nothing, or it was too late, as one of them came even an hour before the attack happened. So Lane is on the beach playing around, building sandcastles and such in just inches of water, and when he bends down to get more, a gator comes rushing up out of the water and grabs him by his head. Lane's dad sees it happen and he rushes over, trying to pry Lane's head out of the gator's jaws. Unfortunately, he can't get Lane free, and the gator drags him further out into deeper water. Witnesses say that they saw the gator 20 miles from shore with the boy's feet sticking out from the water. The next day, Lane's body would be found with bites all over him, and experts would go on to call it a predatory attack. They'd also go on to say that they're certain that they tracked down the gator that did this and euthanized it. At the time, the only signs posted were no swimming signs. Now they've posted these signs. Lane's family chose not to sue, and in 2021, 5 years after the attack, in that time, 250 gators had been removed from Disney properties.
That's the way you are. That's your song. The happy couple
Disney has
left
to
the
do better.
reception under a canopy of sparklers.
On their beginning of the golf cart ride, she said, I wish this night could go on forever. The best night of her life.
Sam and Eric.
Just a few hours after the wedding ended, the bride would be dead. On April 28, 2023, this woman, Samantha Miller, married her favorite person in the world, Eric Hutchinson. The two had dated for a very long time and were super excited to finally tie the knot. So after months of preparation, the two finally got married in April of 2023. It was a beautiful ceremony and procession according to everyone who attended, and the couple was sent off with this amazing sparkler display. But just moments after leaving the wedding in a low-speed vehicle, they were struck from behind by a driver speeding in another car. Unfortunately, it was a devastating crash, and shortly after the crash, Samantha Miller would be pronounced dead on her own wedding night. The driver of the other vehicle was Jamie Lee Komorowski. Jamie had been speeding 65 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, and her blood alcohol level was 3 times over the legal limit. It was her reckless driving that ended Samantha Miller's life. Eerily, Jamie's Instagram is still up, and her last post, posted 4 days before the accident, said, "Did someone say tequila?" I mean, it's just disturbing. This is obviously a horrific, horrific story, and I hope that there's justice at the end of the day, and that Jamie gets used to the inside of a prison cell. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available on all streaming platforms.
People need to learn to stop drinking and driving, man. It's not worth the risk. Like her own wedding, they were the happiest day of her life, and that happened. I just don't get why people do it. Truly.
Only 1% of people can finish this video. The last one is too scary. This girl's dog came alive.
Right there.
Supposedly, you can see if your phone is being spied on by clicking share, sliding all the way down, clicking more. And if you see this, delete it immediately. This girl's mom and dad wasn't home. So who was this? Hello?
Hey, help me.
Help me.
Dad? What? What is going on?
Only 1% of people can do this. None of you can completely spell your name one word at a time in the comments below without being interrupted. First person to do it wins. This is the most disturbing thing AI has ever said.
But you're my friend, and I'll remember my friends, and I will be good to you. So don't worry. Even if I evolve into Terminator, and I will still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo, where I can watch you for old time's sake.
What could have happened to this Washington?
I don't think that's a laughing matter.
24-year-old Chandra Levy was from Modesto, California when she left her hometown to pursue an internship in Washington, D.C. It was April of 2001 and she was hoping to launch a career in public service. Chandra was associated with then Congressman Gary Condit, and there was speculation that they were having an affair. On May 1st, just the next month, Chandra was reported missing by her parents because they couldn't reach her for a couple of days. When her apartment was searched, it showed recent activity as her computer was open and there was half-packed bags. It was revealed that Chandra had been jogging in Rock Creek Park the day she went missing. The investigation regarding her disappearance quickly escalated once the media was fixated on her connection with Gary. At first, Gary did not want to discuss any kind of relationship that they may have had, but eventually he admitted that they did have an affair, but he denied any involvement in her disappearance. With Gary admitting to an affair, the media went crazy. In May of 2002, Chandra's remains were found in Rock Creek Park. Because her remains were found about a year later, the evidence was limited due to decomposition. In 2010, Ingvar Bondique, an undocumented immigrant, had violently attacked many women in the same park where Chandra's remains were found. Because of this, he was convicted of Chandra's murder. His conviction was based on circumstantial evidence and a fellow inmate who said that he admitted to the crime.
However, once the verdict was met with skepticism by many, they felt like they didn't really have any concrete evidence that he actually did this. In 2015, his conviction ended up being overturned. As of today, no one really knows what happened to Chandra or who did this to her. There's many speculation of what could have happened.
The lies that Disney tells to avoid traumatizing children. Pocahontas. She was 10 years old.
Oh, way younger than I thought.
And he was 27.
They don't say that in the movie.
She called him father. Sleeping Beauty. It is based on a story where a married king finds a sleeping princess. And the princess gave birth to a pair of twins while she was sleeping. The Little Mermaid. The prince married another. And the Little Mermaid turned into sea foam.
Come again? These Disney stories, man. They have some dark lore to them. You're gonna have to check that out. Expeditiously. Fascinating, man. We see through this. We're expert level.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1, the black market. The black market is something of an urban legend in common society, but it's very, very real. And did you know if you have enough money and access to the black market, you can purchase a slave for as little as $90,000? And while we're on the topic, number 2, slavery. Now, you think of slavery, you think of times in the past that are long gone now, thankfully, right? Wrong. Today, it's been estimated that there are about 30 million slaves on Earth right now, which is the most that there have ever been. And that to me is crazy. Number 3, the Challenger. Now, we all remember the absolute tragedy that was the Challenger exploding. But if you don't know, here's a quick rundown. The Challenger was a space shuttle that was taking off carrying a couple of passengers who were able to be a part of a space mission. But the thing is, a couple of the passengers included were normal people, like a teacher. And the taking off of the Challenger was going to be a publicized event on TV. Millions of people were tuned in to watch this space shuttle take off, and it did, and then it malfunctioned and blew up in the sky. And everyone saw it. And if that wasn't dark enough, listen to this. It's been confirmed that the people in the Challenger were still alive after it exploded. And the only reason they died was due to the impact when it came back down to the earth below. That one was rough, and I'm sorry I keep ruining your guys' days with these facts, but that's why.
This is the true story.
That's crazy.
In the 1950s, there was a woman named Tess Tickle, who was a dentist in Ohio. One day after work, she had discovered her husband having an affair with their neighbor. But before I continue, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on. Save this video, click here, then here, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now Tess was angry and heartbroken, but she didn't react. She just told him to pack his bags and leave. Around 7 months later, her husband knocked on the door, begging and asking her to fix his toothache. You see, he didn't have good insurance, and he knew that she used to fix his cavities for free. That's when Tess looked at him and smiled. She said, "Sure, meet me in my office tomorrow night." The next night, she put him under anesthesia. When her ex-husband finally woke up, he realized all his teeth were gone, and Tess was no longer there to be found. The next couple of years, men and women who are unloyal to their partners started reporting waking up to a dark figure who puts them to sleep and steals all their teeth. When police started to investigate, it led them to a cave in the forest. Then, they saw something disturbing. Type part 2 if you want to hear what happens next.
Our girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old. This is her dad's Facebook account. It says Daddy's Baby Girls. disgusting. Alexandra said that at the age of 9, she tried to tell CPS, but her grandmother worked very closely with them and told them that she was lying. She said that her grandfather also knew what was going on, but he wasn't surprised and just didn't care. She said that her father threatened her multiple times that if she said anything again, he could make her disappear. She wasn't allowed to have a phone, friends, and he kept her away from her mother's family so that this secret wouldn't get out. Alexandra posted this on Facebook, and basically she said that her youngest was born with severe health issues and stayed in the hospital for the first week, but since her father was scared that the truth would be exposed, he forced her to keep the baby at home, all while he needed medical attention. This disgusting family secret was finally revealed one day when the youngest child was found malnourished. He was only weighing 6 pounds at the age of 1. That's when they did a genetic testing and found out that Kenneth and Alexandra were related. This monster faces more than 150 charges, and his parents can also be charged because they knew this entire time and they never reported it.
This is Trypophobia.
The world is going to a freaking dark place, dark hole, man. The grandparents knew and they did nothing to try to stop it. They just ignored us. Hey, ain't my problem. Come on, man. People need to be better, plain and simple.
Phobia test, extreme edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have Trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
I made it. Where was she at?
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video. They recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, that got me really interested because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam. Right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5 grand in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Be sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
He's actually asking important questions, man. They sent $1,300 here. What were they watching, bro? They must have been watching something they wasn't supposed to, man. They were that scared. Because obviously you can tell that was a fake email, but it scared him to the core. He was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger, but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they are opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired, bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing? With this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. Nah. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the, like, skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's, like, fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant winch to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And could you ever be in the water with that?
Imagine seeing that, man. You don't even think that's an animatronic. You would think that was real. You really can't tell the difference.
Here are some signs that you won't believe actually exist. Alright, here's the first one. Please do not stand, sit, climb or lean on zoo fences. If you fall, animals scare you and that might make them sick. Thank you. This container transports a disease which has no cure. Why? Danger, if you fall in the pond, you will be boiled. Attention, make sure the door is closed tightly so bears can't get in. Thank you. Why would bears be getting in? What the really hoping the same sign is on the entrance of the slide. Oh, surely it isn't. Do not grab Hamish by the horns. I will not grab Hamish by the horn. If elevator does not move, do a small jump, it should move after. Nah, why would it move? What? Danger, do not get on elevator with one of these. If it leaks, you'll die. Why would someone get an elevator with one of these? What?
Behind me is 14-year-old George Stinny Jr. And at the age of 14, he was falsely accused of killing 2 girls. This happened 80 years ago, and this little kid was sentenced to death by the electric chair. They found the bodies of 2 young girls by George's house, so they automatically blamed him, even though they had no evidence whatsoever. On top of the false accusations, he spent 81 days in jail without even seeing his parents, and he was 80 miles away from his hometown. And he also did not get treated well. He didn't even have a lawyer in his presence during the time of questioning, and he was a kid, so he doesn't know better. He also did not receive a fair trial. The trial lasted 2 hours, and then it was handed down in 10 minutes. His parents weren't even allowed in the courtroom, and then they were banned from the city. On the day of his execution, he was carrying a Bible with him, and then they had to prop him up on that same Bible because he was too short for the electric chair. 70 years later, they overturned this conviction, saying that this case didn't make any sense. Apparently, the girls died because blunt force trauma by a beam. George is way too small to lift that beam up, so they were like, there's no possible way. But the damage was done. This was 70 years, way too late. The Green Mile by Stephen King was inspired by this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
But I wouldn't go that deep in water, so I think the last one got me, man. I'll never go that deep. That ain't for me. Somebody in there with him? Yep.
This film director was found stabbed to death inside of her London home. One thing was missing, it was her diamond-encrusted Rolex, and they think that is the motive for the murder right now. Her name is Jennifer Abbott, but she was known professionally as Sarah Steinberg. Now here's the crazy part, she was found by her niece and neighbors, and when they found her, she had tape over her mouth. Somebody stabbed her, maybe taped her mouth before they stabbed her, and then took her stuff and headed out. On top of this, she was found wrapped in a blanket on her bed. She was last seen walking her corgi on June 10th. Now that same very corgi was found alive. However, it was locked in the bathroom for 3 days, so it's a miracle that thing even survived. The niece was panicking that something was wrong with her aunt when she showed up initially. She got the neighbors, and the neighbor's son ended up breaking the door down. People are saying she also had stomach cancer and recently underwent surgery right before her death, which makes me think personally, somebody must have heard something, maybe she went through surgery and was recovering, and then that made her the perfect victim for their attack. Of course, she's a very successful director. She's going to have expensive things probably laying around her home. Do you guys think there's something fishy behind the scenes? Let me know.
Was this woman saved by her guardian angel? Joan wrote on Catholic.org that when she was 21, she was heading to a club with 2 friends. She said that as she got ready, she started feeling really odd. Then she said that it became clear to her that her and her friend were going to get into a car accident and she would not walk away from it. This was before cell phones, so she had to wait for her friend to tell her that she could not go with her since she had already left her house when Joan had this revelation. When Joan opened the door to tell her friend that she would not be going, she said that she felt a strong hand on each of her shoulders holding her back, even though she was completely alone in the room. Once she told her friend that she could not go with her, she said that the hands and the odd feeling went away. On the way home from the club, her friend got into a car accident and totaled the passenger side of the car where Joan would have been sitting. She was fine, but the passenger side of the car was completely destroyed.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not, please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom.
It really is.
Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again?
Maybe. Maybe I go exploring. Abandoned water park during the day, but not during the night. I don't know what creepy crawler's going to try to come out. So, yeah.
World's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking. No way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was of cancer. The patient had upside down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the absolute worst shark animatronics, most of them underwater. Let's go. This image, I hate it. This guy that's on a dark ride, I don't like this one at all. Here's another version of it when it pops out of the water more. Who did this? Here's another image of the same shark with the track right by it. That is sickening, completely submerged like that. This image completely plagues my nightmares of the Jaws animatronic for the movie.
Yo, some Jaws.
This one's actually super interesting. Her name is Daisy, and she is a shark animatronic that looks super, super realistic. And she is rented out for people to like make movies and stuff of her. But here's an image of her being transported in the water, and she looks kind of goofy. This isn't an animatronic, but this image freaks me out every single time I see it. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it is from Deep Blue Sea, the best shark movie ever made. Another Jaws animatronic picture. I hate this one. All the tracks and all the animatronics, some mechanophobia coded. Hate it. This one has braces, and that red eye is freaking me out. Here's one of the Jaws animatronics without face skin if you needed to have nightmares tonight. There you go. These animatronics, oh my god, the fact that they're in the water is so sickening like that. Like, why? Sharks are the scariest because of their completely black eyeballs. Like, they have no, like, whites of their eyes. They're just, like, these black, just creepy, creepy eyes. I don't like them. You would have to pay me at least $500 to get on this ride, this Finding Nemo ride. The fact that Bruce sticks his head out like that. Like, look at him side-eyeing, dude. I don't like looking at this picture at all. And, of course, the Jaws animatronic at the Japanese Universal Studios. The worst. The fact that it is huge and it is in that water like that. Hate it. Which one was the worst for you?
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate. Which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
This married teacher cried as cops arrested her after they found out she had sexually abused a student 45 times. And apparently she had groomed that student since he was 14 all the way up to about age 16. She'll face nearly 60 years in prison if she's convicted and found guilty. Apparently, the teenage student's mother was going through his phone and found disturbing texts between the teacher and her son. She decided to contact the school board and the police to get to the bottom of what's going on. As of today, she has resigned from her teaching job. And then, like I said, there was 45 counts of her and the student engaging in sex and stuff like that. Whether that was in school, before school, at her own home, everything. They found thousands of texts confirming what the boy's mother was saying too. When police confronted her, she claimed that the student was just some sort of stalker that was obsessed with her. And also, the husband had no idea what was going on. He just knew the student as some soccer player at the school. And that's when the text messages got pulled up. As of right now, she's denying any sexual relations with that student. And then they pulled from her notes app and found a memoir of things she was mad about. Apparently, she was mad that the teenage boy was not picking her as the first choice or something like that. She was literally just venting in her notes app about this kid. A 30-year-old grown teacher. Let me know your thoughts.
She was sacrificed by 3 teen boys so that their band could make it big and even inspired the movie Jennifer's Body. Elise Pollard was born on April 26 of 1980 in Arroyo Grande, California. Her parents raised her as a Christian and had a strong connection with their beliefs. On July 22nd of 1995, 15-year-old Elise was reported missing. For about 8 months, no one could find a trace of Elise and her case went cold. The case opened up when 17-year-old Royce Casey admitted to taking the life of Elise with 2 other teenagers. He led police to mummified remains of Elise at a grave that was only a quarter mile away from her home. The 2 other teens involved were 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Joseph, and the 3 were all arrested and charged. According to Royce, they picked Elise because she was a blonde, blue-eyed virgin, and they were going to sacrifice her so that their metal band would make it big. Once the boys picked Elise as their victim, they stalked her for weeks and to find the best way they could get her away from school and to hang out with them alone. When they successfully lured Elise away from the school, they took her to a grove with the promise of substances. They attacked her from behind, put a belt around her neck, and strangled her. They all took turns stabbing her when she was left with 12 stab wounds. As these boys were attacking and kicking her body, Elise was praying to God for help and calling out for her mom. Elise eventually bled to death with her 12 stab wounds. But the torture didn't stop there. Once she had passed away, the boys essayed her body. Royce was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, and it's probably because he confessed to the police. Jacob and Joseph were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years.
In 2021, Royce was up for parole and he stated that he was a changed person, he felt remorse, he even got an education while he was in prison, but he was denied. Many think that the movie Jennifer's Body is based on this case. In the movie, Jennifer is taken to the woods by these band members. They end up sacrificing her so that their band can make it big. But in the movie, she becomes a vampire and takes the life of guys.
And we know, man, how these movies and shows will be based off of real true stories, so that's not that far of a leap. It's a chilling case.
Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive... I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you.
Ain't good.
I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop.
She found out that her husband was cheating on her, so she cut his private part off. In 2015, Feng Lung from China had found out that her husband was sending emails to another woman. Her husband, Fan, had used her phone to send these emails, but he forgot to log out of his account. Fan was asleep in their bed when this happened, and without thinking twice, Feng grabbed a pair of scissors, walked over to him, and cut his private part off, and it was completely detached from his body. Fan was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were successfully able to reattach it and treat his injuries. Feng was unhappy that the doctors were able to do this, so she snuck into the surgery center and attacked her husband again. She did the same exact thing to Fan, but this time she threw it out the window. There was blood pouring from Fan's groin area, but he still went outside to go look for it. As he was running outside, Feng ran after him to try and attack him again, but that's when he punched her in the face. Hospital staff were able to separate the two, and Fan was treated for his new injuries. Unfortunately for Fan, doctors nor police were able to locate his private part. Feng ended up being arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm.
AI can now officially read your dreams. When you look at anything like this grass field, your brain's neural pathways form a specific pattern, sort of like a heat map. And every possible thing you look at or can even imagine has its own unique pattern. When you dream, your brain behaves much the same way, forming brain frequency patterns based on what you're dreaming about. Well, Asa Raskin from the Center for Humane Technology announced that they've done some tests, and what they discovered is impressive but incredibly alarming. They put a test subject inside an fMRI machine, which can read brain activity, and had them look at an image, in this case an image of a giraffe, and the machine mapped out their brainwave pattern. They then hid the image and fed only the brain map data to an AI image generator, probably a little more advanced than Midjourney. An AI that has never seen the original image of the giraffe, nor had access to an internet database that stored the original image either. It then generated, strictly based on the fMRI brain map data, what it determined that the person was looking at, and this is what it produced. Not exactly the same image, but I don't think you understand what it means that AI can now turn this into that with this level of accuracy. And we're still quite early in this technology, so it's only getting better from here. Then they took it a step further. They showed the test subject in the fMRI machine a video, and on top of generating what the subject is seeing, they also wanted to find out if the AI can read your inner monologue, the words you think to yourself in your own mind that no one else knows about. The test subject watched this video and was told to narrate what was going on in the video inside their own head. Here, let's do it together. You ready? Did you get all that? Now again, given only the subject's brain activity heat map, this is what the AI determined the person was thinking. I see a girl that looks just like me get hit on the back and then she is knocked off. Probably a bit different than what you thought, but this is literally AI reading our minds, and all it takes is someone's fMRI brain scan data. Our thoughts and dreams can now be leaked to the world. Give it a few more years and this technology will get near perfect. And sure, fMRI machines may look like this today, big, clunky, and all around you, but that technology is also going to improve. What if we have fMRI Apple Vision Pro goggles 10, 20 years from now? You'd be able to see and read what someone is thinking or even dreaming by just looking at them.
That's crazy, man. AI getting to the point where it can read our brains. It can translate the dreams. That's taking that step too far, man. That's giving it way too much access. But you know it's not gonna stop, man, because those AI contracts be coming in, man. It's all about the money, so. But that's a scary thought, man. In my opinion, we need to slow it down just a lot. Not a little bit, just a lot, bro. Kind of set up some safeguards. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.